You know what's funny? The thing we're most certain about is the most mysterious thing there is. We're certain that we live in the present. This moment right now is real. The past is gone. It's dead. It's no longer. The future hasn't happened yet. It doesn't exist. It's potential. It's possibility. There's a moving edge of now that separates what was from what will be. This moment, this eternal, ever-present moment, this seems like the most basic fact about existence. It seems like the foundation upon which all other facts rest. And yet, the moment you start asking what this means, the moment you look at the physics, the moment you ask, what is the present moment, the whole picture dissolves. There is no present moment. There is no now. And yet, here you are, experiencing it. Let me start with something that seems obvious. Time flows. We move from the past to the future. There's a direction to time. You remember the past. You cannot remember the future. You can plan for the future. You cannot plan for the past. Entropy increases with time. Things break down. Cups shatter. Eggs spoil. Planets die. Entropy is a measure of disorder, of randomness, of how mixed up things are. And entropy always increases. Always. This gives time a direction, an arrow, pointing from past to future. And we exist somewhere on this arrow, moving forward, always marching toward the future. That seems like common sense. That seems like the basic nature of time. Except when you look at the fundamental laws of physics. When you look at how physicists actually describe the motion of objects and particles, the arrow disappears. The fundamental laws are time-symmetric. This means that if you filmed a collision between billiard balls, if you watched that film backwards, the physics would still be correct. The backward collision would follow the same laws as the forward collision. The positions and velocities would evolve according to Newton's laws just as accurately going backward as going forward. Gravitational forces don't care about direction in time. A planet falling into a star looks just as physically valid if you run the video backward. Electromagnetic forces don't care. Light bouncing around, interactions between electrons and light, all of it is time-symmetric. Quantum mechanics at the fundamental level doesn't care. The Schrödinger equation is time-symmetric. The universe, according to the laws of physics, should look the same going backward as going forward. But we don't see that. We don't see cups unshattering, jumping off the ground and reassembling themselves, the broken pieces flying back together into a whole cup again. We don't see eggs uncooking, organized matter in a breaking apart and separating into individual molecules. The world has a direction. We experience time as flowing in one direction, from past to future. And yet the laws that govern the motion of fundamental particles don't describe this direction. How is this possible? How can time have a direction if the fundamental laws don't know the difference between forward and backward? Here's the answer, and it's kind of interesting. It's not as satisfying as you'd like. The direction we perceive comes not from the laws of physics, but from the initial conditions. The universe started in a state of low entropy, a very organized state, a very unlikely state. Unlikely in the sense that if you just randomly arranged particles, you would never get that state by accident. You would be much more likely to get a disordered state. But the universe didn't start that way. The universe started very organized. It started with very little disorder. Entropy measures disorder, and the universe started with very little of it. So as time has progressed, entropy has increased. Things have become more disordered. That's why we see eggs cook but not uncook. Not because the laws forbid uncooking. The laws are time-symmetric, they work just fine backward. But because the universe started in a state so organized that cooking, which increases disorder, is much more likely than uncooking, which would decrease disorder. In other words, the arrow of time is not built into the laws. The arrow of time is an accident of history. It's a consequence of how the universe happened to start. If the universe had started in a state of maximum entropy, completely disordered, completely random, then we would see no arrow. We would see all processes equally likely in both directions. We would see cups breaking and unbreaking with equal frequency. But we didn't start that way. We started organized. Very organized. Impossibly organized. And that initial condition is what creates the sense that time has a direction. That's why we experience a flowing present, why we remember the past but not the future. It's not the laws, it's the boundary conditions. This is all interesting, but it's not the part that really breaks things. The really strange thing comes when you combine relativity with the experience of time, when you start asking about the nature of the present moment. Einstein showed us that simultaneity is not absolute. Two events that happen at the same time in one reference frame do not necessarily happen at the same time in another reference frame. If you're moving relative to me, if you're traveling through space at a significant fraction of the speed of light, then events that I perceive as simultaneous happening at the same moment, you will perceive as happening at different times, one before the other. First this, then that. This seems like a small thing, just a matter of perspective, just different observers disagreeing about timing. But it has a profound implication. If there is no absolute now, if simultaneity depends on the observer's motion, if different observers moving at different speeds through space will disagree about which events are simultaneous, then there's no objective present moment, there's no universal right now that all observers can agree on. Think about what this means. I'm looking at the night sky, and I see a star that's 10 light years away. The light from that star is coming toward me. It will reach my eye. When it reaches my eye, I will see the star as it was 10 years ago. The light has taken 10 years to travel here. But from the perspective of someone traveling through space near the speed of light, traveling fast enough that relativistic effects matter, traveling at 99% of the speed of light, relative to the star and to me, now this present moment in which I'm about to see the starlight coincides with a moment in the distant future after the star has long since died. There's no absolute sense in which the star is in a particular state right now. The star's existence is distributed across time. Different observers moving differently through space will disagree about which moment of the star's life is happening right now. The universe, according to relativity, is not a succession of moments flowing into the future. It's not a stack of slices, with the present moment as the current slice. It's a block, a four-dimensional block of spacetime. Past, present, and future all exist simultaneously, all coexist in a space-time structure. The entire history of the universe, from the Big Bang to the infinite future, is all there, all at once. Or not at once, because at once implies simultaneity, which implies a present moment, which doesn't exist. The present moment is not a real physical thing. It's not something that exists in space-time. It's a subjective slice through this four-dimensional block. Your now is different from my now. If we're moving relative to each other, and there's no fact of the matter about which now is the real one, they're all equally valid, they're all equally real. Let me try to explain this more carefully, because it gets very strange. Imagine space-time as a loaf of bread. The spatial dimensions are the height, width, and depth of the bread. Time is the length of the bread. The entire loaf exists. It's there, all of it. The beginning of time is one end of the loaf. The end of time is the other end. The Big Bang is one end. The infinite future is the other. The present moment is supposed to be a single slice through the loaf. A moment in time, a thin slice running perpendicular to the time direction. But here's the thing. That slice is not perpendicular to the time direction for all observers. If you're moving through space, if you're in a different reference frame, your slice is at a different angle. You're slicing the loaf diagonally. Your now includes parts of the past and parts of the future relative to someone standing still. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. In special relativity, the region of the universe you can causally interact with, the region you can reach with a signal traveling at the speed of light or slower, is limited. There's an event horizon around your present location. Events outside this horizon are causally disconnected from you. They cannot affect you. You cannot affect them. Not now, not ever, because no signal can travel between you at the speed of light or slower. Light speed is the cosmic speed limit. So there are events happening now, in some reference frame, that have absolutely nothing to do with you, that cannot possibly affect your experience, that you will never know about. The universe is full of events that are causally isolated from you. And yet, from the perspective of someone in a different reference frame, those events are in your past or your future. The concepts of present, past, and future depend on perspective. They're not objective features of reality. Now, quantum mechanics makes this even worse. Or better, depending on your perspective. In quantum mechanics, before you measure something, before you observe it, it doesn't have a definite state. It's in a superposition. It's in all possible states at once, in a mathematical sense. Only when you measure it does the state collapse into one definite outcome. This is called the measurement problem, and it's still not fully understood. It's still controversial among physicists. But one implication is that the present moment, the moment of measurement, the moment when the quantum state collapses into a definite outcome, might be the only sense in which a present exists. Everything else is potential, in superposition, not yet real. Only when you observe it does it become real. But this interpretation runs into huge problems. If the present moment is when measurement happens, when observation happens, then the universe is full of superposed states waiting for an observer to collapse them. Which observer? Where do you draw the line between what's been measured and what hasn't? Does the universe need conscious observers to bring it into existence? Does observation collapse the wave function only for conscious beings? Does consciousness matter? The more you think about it, the less sense it makes. Here's the simple version, the version for someone who hasn't studied physics. The present moment doesn't exist in physics. According to relativity, past, present, and future are all equally real. They all exist in space-time. According to quantum mechanics, only the measured, observed part of reality is definite. Everything else is potential, in superposition, and according to our experience, there's a flowing present, a clear distinction between past and future, a sense of now that's immediate and real and undeniable. These three things don't fit together. We have a contradiction. We don't know which one is wrong. We don't know how to resolve it. Let me state this clearly. We don't know what time is. We know how to measure it. We know how to describe its behavior mathematically. We can write down equations that predict when things will happen. We can calculate the age of the universe. We can tell you when the sun will explode. But as for what time fundamentally is, why it flows, why there's an arrow, why we experience a present moment while the physics seems to say there isn't one, I don't know. Nobody does. This is not a problem we're on the verge of solving. This is not something that will be solved in the next decade or the next century. This is a fundamental gap in our understanding of reality. This is where the physics stops making sense. Here's something many physicists find unsettling. The equations of physics work perfectly fine with time running backward. The mathematics is symmetric, but our experience is not. We age, we forget, we can't undo our actions, we can't go back to the past. Why is there this asymmetry between the laws, which are reversible, and our experience, which is not? This is one of the deepest unsolved problems in physics. It's called the arrow of time problem, and we don't have a satisfactory answer. We have theories and partial explanations, but nothing that fully captures the weirdness of the situation. What strikes me is that time is the most intimate aspect of our experience. We live in time, we are extended through time, we come into being, we exist for a span of time, we cease to exist. Time is the dimension in which this story unfolds. Time is where life happens. And yet when we ask what time is, we hit a wall. The laws of physics don't explain it. They don't explain why we experience it the way we do. They don't explain the present moment. They don't explain why we can only move forward, why we can only affect the future, why we can only remember the past. The laws give us no reason for this asymmetry. Here's a thought that might sit with you for a while. If the present moment doesn't exist, if the future already exists in the same way that the past exists, in a four-dimensional block of space-time, then everything that will happen has already happened. Your death is already there, in the space-time block. The way your life ends is already written, not by fate, not by destiny in the sense of predetermined, but by the structure of space-time itself. This is called eternalism, the view that all moments in time are equally real, that the future is just as real as the past, and it follows directly from special relativity. Either you accept relativity, and you have to accept that the future already exists, or you reject relativity, and you have to explain the mountains of evidence that support it. The evidence is overwhelming. Relativity makes predictions that are confirmed to extraordinary precision. GPS satellites wouldn't work without relativistic corrections. Atomic clocks run at different rates depending on their speed and their proximity to massive objects, exactly as relativity predicts. Now you might think, does it matter? If the future is already there, if your death is already written into space-time, does that change anything? You still don't know what the future is. You still have to live through it. You still have to make choices. You still have to act as though the future is open. And that's true. Knowing that the future exists, knowing that it's already part of space-time, doesn't change the fact that your consciousness has not accessed it yet. You still experience a flow. You still experience a present. You still experience decision-making. You still experience the feeling that you're choosing, that the future is open to you. But here's the thing that should trouble you. If the future is fixed, if it's already part of the space-time block, then in what sense are you making a choice? In what sense is your decision causing the future? If the future is already there, already determined, already written, then your choices are not creating the future. They're just you discovering the future that was always going to happen. This is called determinism, and it's deeply unsettling. Are your choices real, or are they just the universe unfolding according to a fixed script? Is there such a thing as free will? But it does change something philosophical. It changes whether the universe is fundamentally dynamic or static. In classical physics, in Newtonian mechanics, the universe is dynamic. Things change. States evolve according to laws. The universe is a story unfolding. Time flows. Cause precedes effect. One thing happens, then another. There's a narrative. But in relativity, combined with eternalism, the universe is static. It's a block. It's a complete object. There is no unfolding. There is no flow. There is just the block, existing outside of time, containing all moments of time within it. All of history, from the Big Bang to the infinite future, is just a geometric object. It's a shape in four-dimensional space-time. Time is just a dimension, like space. You can move through space freely. You're not locked in one place, but you're also not moving forward through time. You're extended through time, the same way you're extended through space. You're a four-dimensional object, a world line, a path through space-time from your birth to your death. From the moment you were born to the moment you will die, you are a fixed, unchanging object in space-time. Your life is a complete thing. It's done. It's not unfolding. It's just there, fixed in space-time. If this is true, and I think it probably is, then the present moment is not a real feature of the universe. It's a feature of your mind. It's the result of your mind being situated in space-time in a particular way, extended through time, processing information sequentially, building a narrative as it goes. Your consciousness carves out a present moment from the four-dimensional block of space-time. But that's not a fundamental feature of reality. That's a feature of how you interface with reality. That's a feature of how your brain works. This is the hard part to sit with. The most certain thing about your experience, that you're living in the present, that there's a now, is probably not a real feature of the universe. The universe is probably a timeless block, a complete object, containing all moments of time, your entire life from birth to death, all simultaneously existing. Your sense of the present, your experience of time flowing, your feeling that the future is open, these are probably illusions, or not illusions, exactly, but artifacts of your particular way of being in the universe. They're not false, they're just not fundamental, they're emergent properties of consciousness. Now here's where it gets harder. Think about what it would mean if the block universe picture is correct. If the universe is a static, timeless, four-dimensional object, then what is the status of the present moment in that picture? We imagine the present moment as some kind of edge, a moving boundary, separating what has been from what will be. But in the block universe, there is no edge. Everything is equally real. Your childhood is as real as your adulthood. Your death is as real as your birth. The question, what is real right now, makes sense only if there's a special now. But there isn't. There's no objective, present moment in space-time. The present is relative. It depends on your motion through space. Except here's the thing. We also know that this picture is incomplete. We know that relativity and quantum mechanics are not compatible. They contradict each other. We know that general relativity breaks down at the Big Bang and at the center of black holes. We know that something deeper is going on, something that we don't yet understand, and that deeper understanding might change everything. It might restore the present moment. It might restore the flow of time. It might solve the measurement problem and explain why the universe is not purely deterministic, purely static, or it might make things even stranger. You know what's really funny? The universe might be timeless, completely static, all moments existing equally. And yet, here you are inside it, experiencing a flow, experiencing a present, experiencing change, experiencing the passage of time, and maybe that's okay. Maybe it's not a contradiction. Maybe time, the flow of time, the present moment, is something that emerges from the timeless structure of space-time. Maybe consciousness, the way a brain processes information, creates the illusion of time, not an illusion in the sense of false, but an illusion in the sense of not fundamental, something real, at one level of description, but derived from something else at a deeper level, something that arises from the nature of how minds process information. The honest answer is that we don't know how to reconcile these things. We have a description of the universe that is static, timeless, a four-dimensional block, We have an experience of the universe that is dynamic, flowing, full of change. We don't know how to bridge that gap. We don't know why consciousness perceives time this way. We don't know what the present moment really is. We just know it feels like something. We know that time is the most intimate dimension of our experience. We know that we are creatures that exist in time, that age in time, that remember the past because we have lived through it. And here's what haunts me most. If eternalism is true, if the block universe is real, then your birth is real and present right now, not in the past. Your death is real and present right now, not in the future. Your entire life, from beginning to end, exists all at once, all equally real. You're not moving through time. You're standing still in a four-dimensional object that stretches from your birth to your death. You think you're moving forward, but you're not. You're just becoming aware of different parts of your own four-dimensional body. Birth, childhood, adulthood, old age, death. They're all equally real. They all exist now. This moment, as you read this, is eternally fixed in space-time. It's not becoming. It's not becoming. It just is. Think about what this would mean if you really took it seriously. The events of your past are not gone. They didn't cease to exist. They're still there, still real, still existing in space-time. Right now, somewhere in the space-time continuum, you are a child again, playing in the grass. Right now, somewhere in space-time, you haven't been born yet. Right now, somewhere in space-time, you are old and looking back on your life. All of these moments coexist eternally. They don't happen in sequence. They're all there at once, frozen in a four-dimensional structure. Your entire life, the whole thing, from first breath to last, is a permanent fixture of space-time. It doesn't flow. It doesn't unfold. It just sits there, complete. This is what physicists call the block universe. And it's a deeply unsettling picture. It's unsettling because it seems to eliminate something we think of as absolutely essential: change. In the block universe picture, nothing really happens. Things don't come into being and pass away. They just are in different locations along the time axis. You're not becoming older. You're not moving toward your future. You're simply extended through time, your life a four-dimensional shape, as fixed and permanent as a sculpture. And that's deeply weird. It seems to contradict everything we know about ourselves, about the nature of existence, about change itself. And yet this is what the physics tells us. This is what the mathematics of space-time requires. When you lie in bed at night, when you're acutely aware of your own existence, aware of your thoughts, aware of the moment passing, aware of time, remember that this present moment, this now, that feels so immediate and real, might not be what you think. It might be your mind's way of navigating a timeless structure. It might be an artifact of how consciousness works. It might be an emergent property of the brain. Or it might be real in a way that we don't yet understand. The physics is still incomplete. The theory is still incomplete. We haven't solved the puzzle yet. If the present moment is just a slice of space-time that your consciousness creates as it moves through the eternal block of the universe, does that make it any less real?